Good morning.
Good morning, ma.
Good morning, Liban. Guys, shall we recall what we have studied in the last class? What we have studied in the last class, guys? Can anybody find out that?
We have learned about the repeater, switch, hubs, and all.
Hmm. Yes. Where we are using the hub and repeaters. First, we have seen the layer 1 switch, right? Then layer 2 switches. Then layer 3 switches. What are the layer 1 switches? We have seen that repeaters and hub. Then layer 2 switches are bridges and switches. Layer 3 routers, right? These are the things we have studied in the last class. Screen is visible, guys?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we have seen that layer 1 can be used in the physical layer. Layer 2 devices can be used. Devices in the sense interconnecting devices, guys. Okay. Your layer 2 means data link layer. We can use the bridge by using the MAC address of the connecting devices. Okay. You may either expand the network or you can merge the network. Then we have seen the layer 3 devices which are routers. So routers can be used to combine or to expand more number of network. To combine two network, we can use the routers and it will reduce the traffic also. So in the figure also earlier we have seen that we can use the bridges in this place to connect two different set of network or the routers. Okay. Then generally when we come to layer 2 devices, which is your bridge, so this bridge will play a major role at here. If you see the layering architecture, because each and every network that carries the layer architecture only, it carries different layers. So we can see that the first case, network layer and data link layers divided into two types, logical link control layer and MAC layer, then physical layer. So we will see now by using the different connecting technology or by connecting medium, we are connecting different network by the help of the bridges. Okay, so in the next figure, just have a look. The bridge can reach only up to the MAC layer, not up to the logical link control layer. This is the limitation of the bridge. Okay, just a moment, guys. Okay, so because of this limitation of the bridge, we can use within the data link layer of MAC level, then in physical layer, not above the MAC layer or at logical link control layer or in network layer. These are the limitation of the bridge. This area of operations can be limited by the bridge. Bridge cannot provide the communication for the LLC or logical link control, or we can say that above MAC layer, bridges cannot provide the interconnectivity efficiently. Okay, so where we can use the bridge for the LAN connection. Suppose we have the LAN 1 and LAN 2. By using the MAC address of LAN 1 and MAC address of LAN 2, we can, suppose we want to place the communication in between the LAN 1 and LAN 2. At that time, we may use the MAC address of both the things, and we can place a bridge in between them to carry the frames from LAN 1 to LAN 2, or we can say that to connect the network of LAN 1 to LAN 2. Okay. Then, what are the types of bridge available? So if we see as per the technology they are using, or the types of your modulation scheme, or the accessing medium they are using, as per that the bridge are of two types: transparent bridge and source routing bridge. So transparent bridge, these are used in the Ethernet LAN, means by physical connectivity only. Okay. Then in the source routing bridge, by the help of the token ring technology only, we can implement the source routing bridge. Then first we are going to learn about the transparent bridge. What do you mean by transparent bridge? So bridge concept is over. What is the meaning of bridging? To connect two different networks which are situated in two different type of area location. Okay. Then transparent bridge. Just have a look here. The transparent bridge, these are identified or developed by the IEEE committee of the standard 802.1D. This is the standard of this transparent bridge. Okay. So what they are doing, they are basically used for bridging. Okay. And transparent bridge and source routing bridge, these both the techniques are categorized for the standard of IEEE 802.1D committee. These are proposed by this committee. So what they will do, let's have a look. Here we have two different LAN, LAN 1 and LAN 2. Suppose S1 wants to S1, S2, S3, S4, S5, S6 are your stations. These are the stations. Suppose station 1 wants to communicate with station 6, okay, or want to send the frame from S1 to S6. So how do they communicate, or how do we make the communication possible? By making or by interconnecting through a device. So here we have preferred bridges are best to interconnect two different LAN if they are situated in different vicinity. Okay, so now we have placed at the middle in between two LAN a bridge is there. So this bridge, it carries the port number. So incoming port number is 1, outgoing port number is 2. So whatever the frames enter to bridge, that will be through port 1, and they will leave to the destination LAN, that is LAN 2, through port 2 only. So these are the port number. We have to specify the port number also, how the frames will arrive through bridge and they will exit from the bridge. So here we may see two different cases. First thing is confirm bridges are used to connect two different LAN, or bridges are used to connect the stations which are situated or located at two different LAN. Okay. Then suppose again I will take the example of S1 to S6. S1 and 6 are your station ID. Then suppose the S1, before connecting to S6, if it wants to communicate in between S1 to S2 or S1 to S3, bridging is not required. The reason is, if the station available in the same LAN, it won't forward the packet through bridge. Okay, it will just transmit the frame within the LAN itself. Bridging is not required. But if the matter defines in between two different LAN like S6, S5 and S4, which are part of the LAN 2, then only we need a bridge. Suppose once again the frame which are going to be sent by S1, are going to be delivered to S6 or S5 or S4, but S1 doesn't know the address of S4, S5 and S6. What it will do? So first, the case of S4 we will take. S1 wants to connect to S4. What it will do? It doesn't know the address of S4. So it will come and search at LAN 1 itself. If it is not found, it will approach to the bridge connection. Then in this bridge, two directions are there. In this bridge, through port 2, either it may go to this direction or it may go to this direction. Unless until it is not getting the address of S4, it will float the packet onto the network. Once it will get the address, it won't float, it will directly convey the packet or it will broadcast the packet S1 to S4 directly. Once that searching option is over, that language we are using, that word for searching, we are calling this as flooding. Okay, the packets or frame will be flowed onto the network until it is not getting the port address of the destination. Okay, so this is the way of communication. So suppose guys, once the identification of path of S4 is fixed, whether it need to float the packet once again when it will send the packet transmission or the frame transmission from S1 to S4, no, it's not required because already the path is identified. Similarly, now S1 to S6. So if the path is predefined or already the path has been identified, directly it will broadcast. It will broadcast to S6. But if it is not identified earlier, what it will do? It will flood again from S1 through port number 1. It will enter to bridge. Then from port number 2, it will flood to all the station. If S6 is found, directly it will make the connection and it will broadcast the packet from S1 to S6 only. All the things whatever I have informed you, this is called as forwarding table or lookup table. So to keep the information about the entry and exit port number of the station and with respect to the source station, the path identification and port address registration, all these things are called as forwarding table or lookup table or routing table. Okay, these are the name you have to remember. Okay, so in the same slide, what are the things I discussed now? It has been mentioned at here. Let's go through this. So as per the standard mentioned, IEEE 102.1D. So from that standard, we can see that these are used for sending frame from one station to another station if the LANs are if the stations are situated in different LAN. So what are the property of that? It will discard the frame if the source and destinations are in the same lane. Like for the example of S1 to S2, then S4 to S6. Okay, we can take the example for the first statement. Then it will forward the frame, the second point, if the source and destinations are in different lane. So like S1 to S5 or S2 to S4. If you see, the station addresses are at LAN 1 and LAN 2, or we may say that S5 to S2 or S5 to S3 also. Then the traffic is local, which will load on each LAN will be reduced. How it will be reduced? Yes, it will identify that whether they are situated in the local vicinity or in the same source or same LAN or in the different LAN. If it will be figure out at the earlier stage, it no need to use the resources or it no need to waste the resources. Directly it will communicate from that path only. Okay, so unless until the searching operation is not over for finding the best path or finding the address of the destination station, what it will do? It will flood the frames or flood the packets if the destination is unknown. Okay, this is the meaning of this line. Then use backward learning to build the table. This thing I will tell you while observing the example. Okay, so why does it use the backward learning table? Means we have to use many information in the table. From that forward and backward learning only we can avoid entry of address in that table. Okay, that's why we are using the backward learning, and it will observe the source address of the arriving line, and so that it can handle the topology changes by removing the old entries. So what are the meaning of these two lines? Directly we will realize in the example problem only. So bridge learning, once again just have a recall of this. What we are going to do at here, we are going to build a forwarding table which will keep the uh, registration, or which will take the entries, or it contains the station address as well as the port number within it. Okay, yeah, let's have an example at here. So here we have different stations, S1 to S5. 5 stations are there and they are connected through 2 different bridges. It means we have 3 lanes, 5 stations and 2 bridges for our scenario. Now we will observe with different cases how do we enter. This is our forwarding table. Forwarding table with respect to B1, forwarding table with respect to B2. Always remember that we have to make the forwarding table for individual bridges. So here we have used 2 bridges, that's why we have to create 2 number of forwarding table. Okay, so let's see for case 1. This row may be increasing. Okay, you don't bother about the row, or maybe you may delete it. Unnecessary entry you may delete also. So for example purpose only, we have taken 5 rows. Okay, and one thing you can see that even though the stations are connected to the respective LAN, port numbers are mentioned for the respective bridges. So this is port number 1 for bridge 1 and port 2 for bridge 1, then port 1 for bridge 2 and port 2 for bridge 2. This thing also you have to enter in this forwarding table. Okay, as an example, let's take the case for S1 and S5. Suppose station 1 to connect with S5. So S1 is called as source station. Okay, and this one is called as destination station. S5 is called as destination station. Now we have to make the entry with respect to different bridges and their ports. So first S1 to S5. We have to always make the table entry with respect to the source station only. Okay guys, with respect to the different bridges, and the source station only can be entered, the address of the source station. Okay, so let's see. S1 is available at LAN 1. Now it will search for S5. S1 is entering to LAN 2 through bridge 1. So through which port it is entering, through which port it is approaching to enter to LAN 2? Through the port 1 of B1. So what shall we write it here? S1 port 1. Okay, S1 port 1. So for bridge 2, what should be the entering port of S1? Look at the figure and tell me. It is in between S1 and S5. We have to focus upon S1 entries only with respect to the bridges. So for bridge 2 also S1 is entering through port 1. So it will search for the packet. S1 to S5, the frames are started flooding in the LANs. Then it will go to bridge 1 through port 1. Then that's why the entries are available at here, S1 to 1. Then it will go to bridge 2. So we have to make the entry of S1 with respect to bridge 1. What is the entry port of bridge 2? Port 1 only. So you can see at here. Now here it will go to find out S5. Where is the S5? S5 is available at LAN 3 only. Okay, so it will check that it is not available in it will not available in port 2. So where it is available? It is available at LAN 3. So if the matches are found, it will just broadcast the packet from S1 to S5. If the matches are not found, it will just discard. Okay, this is the way. So we have to make the entry of S5. This statement also you have to write, guys, and one question we are going to ask from this forwarding table only or lookup table only. Okay, so this is the case for S1 to S5, and we have successfully entered the port address of S1 with respect to B1 and with respect to B2. Now the case 2 or second case, suppose station S3 wants to communicate with S2. Now which one will be the source station? Who can say? Which will be the source, S3 or S2?
S3.
S3. And S2 will be the destination. So which entry we have to make it here? We have to make the entry for S3, not for S2. If S2 is already there, already entered, we have to discard it. We no need to fill the table. Already if S2 address is there, or suppose S3 address is also there, we no need to fill the table. We have to enter the port address which are newly available. Okay, this thing also we have to remember as per the rule of the forwarding table. Okay, then now see, the packets are flowed S3 to S2. Where is S3? S3 is at here. So how the information will pass? It will check in this direction also, and it may go in this direction also. In both the direction, S3 can be float the packet to search the address of S2. So what address, what entry we have to write for bridge 2? It is S3. Which port it is entering? Port 2 or port 1? 1. Similarly, if we see S3 is entering, okay, let's complete this part. So it will go for the searching operation of, because the frames are flooded onto the network to search for the S3, S3 to S2. Now it will not find in the LAN 3 also, S2 address is not available. So what it will do? It will abort the packet searching operation or the frame searching operation. It will discard it here. Okay, this LAN is not suitable. This path we should not follow for sending the information from S3 to S2. Okay, then now it will go for the search operation of bridge 1 side. So S3 is entering to bridge 1 through port 2. We can make that because earlier we have not made that entry. S3 to which port number? Port number 2 with respect to bridge 1. Now let's have a look. Where is the S2? S2 is available. It will go and search. Okay, so it found the S2. Now the path directly it will follow in the next time when the S3 to S2 frame transmission is required. It will directly follow this path through bridge 1 port 2 only. It will follow the path. Okay, got this point? Guys, let's have a look. Now next one, next case, S4 to S3. Now S4 is the source station and S3 is the destination station, and the packet searching will be starting from S4. Where is the S4? S4 is available at LAN 3. So what S4 will do? S4 will go for the searching through bridge 1 only, because we can see that if it will go in this direction, bridges are not there. It is available in the same LAN itself. We know the concept of the forwarding table. If it is available in the same LAN, what will happen? If it is available in the same LAN, if the source and destination in the same LAN, what will happen? So it is searching for S3. Okay, so S5 direction it may not get, so it will stop its searching. It won't get in the S5. Then where it will go to before going, we have to enter the port address of S4 because S4 also not entered earlier. So this is S4. What is the port number with respect to bridge 2? Port 2. Then where it will go? It will go to this side. It will check in this side. So yes, whether the searching is done or not, yes, it will find out that at port number 1 side S3 is connected to LAN 2. So it will stop its flooding operation. Okay, it will find out its path. Now see whether we have to make the entry of S4 in with respect to bridge 1 or not. After getting the address, S3 is available. It got, but you can see that S3 is not only connected to B2, it is also connected to B1. So we need to make the entry of S4 in the or with respect to B1 bridge also. That's why what we have to do, we have to make the entry of S4 with respect to bridge 1. So S4 through port number 2 only it is entering. So this is the address of S4. Okay. Then the next one. Next one is S2 to S1. For this case, station S2 wants to communicate with S1. Now which one is the source station? S2 is the source, S1 is the destination. Let's have a look. S2, here S2 is approaching to B1 through port 1. Okay. And S1 is also approaching to in this direction, and both are situated in the same LAN. First condition is satisfied, and second one, both are approaching to the same port of the bridge. So what will happen? This connection will be discarded as per the rule of the forwarding table. Okay, we have to discard this entry S2 to S1 because they both are situated in the same LAN. Already guys, see, we no need to enter the port address of S1. S1 is already entered previously. Okay, so we no need to repeat the entry. This is the advantage of the forwarding table, that if once the address is entered or previously, we no need to repeat the address. It will follow that part or that port address only. Okay, that part of the address will be taken from the forwarding table. We no need to enter it once again. Got it? Okay, with respect to bridge 1 we got. See, so this is the scenario. You have to write that because both are situated in the same LAN, so the communication in between S2 and S1 is aborted. We have to make the entry. After that we have to write the lines. All this thing you got, how we have communicated from one station to another station, how to make the entry in the forwarding table. This is very simple. Just you have to make a note that through which port number of that respective bridge the stations, the source stations are entering. Okay.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, if you're going to make connection from S3 to S1, now like after the connection has been established between S3 to S2, should we enter that in the table or?
One minute. S3 to S1. Now
Yes,
which
ma'am.
one is the source station? We can check this. Which one is the source station? S3.
S3.
Okay, S3 to S1. So S3 is connected to bridge 1 side and S3 is connected to bridge 2 side only. Okay, so we have to check because already S3 that case has been analyzed. We will see S3 to bridge 2. Okay, this part is done. We no need to enter. It is already available. Okay, then come to this part. Okay, the S1 is available at here or not? No, it will not find out the frame available at S1. S1 station is not located at here, so it will discard floating the packet in this direction. Now it will go to bridge 1 side. Now let's have a look. For S3, entries are made already, no, in the S1 side also, means in the B1 side also.
Yes, ma'am.
We no need to make the entry. You can refer the port address which is available already in the table.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Now
so only if the connection route is different, we'll have to enter it in.
Yeah, let's make a complete thing at here. Okay, so already the entries for S3 is done. So now what will happen, because they are situated in the different LAN. This is LAN 2 and this is LAN 1. So it will reach up to here through the port number of 2 of bridge 1. Okay. S3 will approach S1 through bridge 1 port 2. That's all. Your path is confirmed now.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, these are the things. Okay, adaptive learning and loop problem. Guys, whatever the things we have learned at here in the forwarding table, just I'm erasing. We can use the adaptive learning process at here. So in this adaptive learning, suppose in the forwarding table, suppose it is a static network, and the tables which are used to store all the addresses and learning stops, means with respect to the port number only, right? So if suppose the stations are newly added and moved all the time, means dynamic. For the static case, you can store the information, but suppose if the stations are changing each and every time, these are dynamic in nature. So that time it will be very difficult to follow the forwarding table port numbers, because one time it will be one address, another time it may be goes for another port number or address. So at that time, what we may do, we have to fix the timer. Okay, like in this case, suppose S1 to S3 or S3 to S1. Okay, for this case, what we may do, we may fix the time limit to suppose 10 minutes or 1 hour. Within this time limit, suppose the searching operation is not done, it will discard the packet or discard the frames. How it will discard? Okay, for example, S5 to S3. It will come for the searching operation within this specified time. If S3 is not responding, S3 is not sending the signal that yes, I am available at here, S5 should get the entry through port 2 of bridge 2, but it will not get the signal that S3 is available at here, S3 side is not responding, but it will understand that okay, this station is faulty. And once, guys, you just realize that if this S3 is faulty, this part is faulty. Okay, within the time limit, if it is not getting the response, it is faulty. That's why we are calling this as fixing the timer for that. Suppose this part is faulty. You got the information from the timer option. Then, can you think that the entire process is successful if any station wants to connect S1 to S4 or S2 to S5 will be worked out? Once the station is declared as faulty, because that is the intermediate station, or not about the case of S3, any of the station will not respond within the specified time limit, then we have to believe that the entire bridge communication will get failed. Okay, this is called as adaptive learning, and we have to focus upon that faulty part of the station, and we have to take time to repair that. For this case, we have to after getting the confirmation that S3 got erroneous or it got faulty, we have to focus upon S3 to repair that. Okay, until the S3 is not functioning out, it will hold the operation of other LANs also. Okay, now one more thing, you got this concept, right? So it may go for updating the operation until this S3 will get repaired. Now, for avoiding this situation, what we may do, we may add one more additional bridge to support this. Okay, we may create the backup for our future operation. So like S3 it happened, right? So what we may do, so bridge 1 is not functioning because of the S3, and bridge 2 is also not functioning. We may use S4 bridge, bridge 3 and bridge 4 also. Suppose this is bridge 3 and this is bridge 4. As a backup, we may use this. This is called as your adaptive learning process. Okay, and this is part of your maintenance of the network, or to update the network even in the faulty condition also. So all these things you just go through that. Now loop problem. What is the loop problem, and why do we go for this? We have to understand this concept for loop issue. Suppose here LAN 1 and LAN 2, and to connect the station which are available on LAN 1, I need, or two bridges are there. Just try to understand the concept. The stations which are available on LAN 1 wants to connect to LAN 2, but here two bridges are available, bridge 1 and bridge 2. Now in this case, what will happen? They may choose, suppose station 1 to station 4. It may choose this path or it may choose this path. So here they are creating a loop-like structure. You can imagine the situation for other stations also. So it can create a redundant loop, which is very undesirable. That's why what is the solution for this? To avoid this loop structure, we should first find out which path is best. Whether the station will come through this way, is this the better one, or the station 1 to 4, this one is the better path. We have to find out the better path. Okay, that is called as your source routing bridge. That option is called as source routing bridge, and the algorithm we are going to use to find out the best path for connecting the station which are situated in two different LAN, that is called as spanning tree. And in this example also I will say you guys that loop issue or loop problem. Just have a look, small example only. Here as I have given this previous example, same thing has been picturized at here. Station A, B are there, and in the LAN 1, and C and D are in LAN 2, and they are interconnected through two different bridges. And bridge 1 has been port 1 and port 2. Bridge 2 is also having port 1 and port 2, and they must have the address port in the forwarding table. Which stations wants to communicate? A and D. So let's begin the communication. Station A sends the frame to D. Through which bridge it will go? It has to identify that, guys. So either it may go in this direction, or the A, it may move through bridge 2 also. So it has to select the path. First, it doesn't know the path where it should go. So what is the basic principle? It will first flood the packets or flood the frames. It doesn't know the path. So this is the two-way communication for bridge 1. Similarly, it will do the bridge 2 also. It will search for the path. It will flood the frames and it will enter the port address at the respective forwarding table. Okay. If it is not getting it, it will discard. But if it is getting, it will pass the frames to the destination stations. Okay. So same thing has been written. 2 copies of the frame on LAN 2. Yes, because we are using the 2 bridges, that's why we have to make 2 copies of it. Then 2 copies of the frame on LAN 1. Yes, now have a look. It will check in the same LAN also, no? Whether the D is available at here before getting the exact path. Yes, the same thing it will check for LAN 1. Same thing it will check in LAN 2. First it will self-check in the same LAN itself. Then it will self-check in the different LAN. Then only it will get confirmed that okay, it is not available in the LAN 1, then go to LAN 2. Then it will come in which direction? It will come at here. Finally, when it will find out the path from A to D, then only it will make the or confirm the path, whether it is from port 1 of bridge 1 or port 1 of bridge 2, it will make the confirmation. But you can see that it is time consuming. It is redundant. Again and again we have to make the entries with respect to whatever the bridges available. So if we will develop a formula to find out which path will be the cost effective or shortest path or efficient path, we no need to go for all this checking always. Okay, so that is that can be solved by the spanning tree algorithm. And here you can also see that redundant links means F1 is going in this direction to search for the F1 means frames. suppose A to D. Okay, so frame 0 has been transmitted and it will go for searching. It is going in this direction also. The frames are going for the searching in this direction, and again they are coming back in this direction. This is redundant backward count. So we need not to prefer this scheme. So what is the next one? To avoid the looping, as I said, that looping problem can be solved by the help of the algorithm which is called as spanning tree. So I'll just explain you today what is spanning tree. After that only I'll end the class. Forwarding table you got, looping issue you got, then adaptive learning you got. Any doubt? Yes, guys. Okay. What is the time now?
8:43.
8:43. Just a little bit, theoretical point of view of spanning tree only. I'll just take that. Okay. So to avoid this looping problem, like for this case, we have how many lands? We have 4 different lands and 5 different bridges. They are placed in different uh, area location. So these 4 lands are interconnected through bridge 1 to bridge 5, and we are going to find out the shortest path in between them. How one can choose the path to travel from B1 to B5 or B2 to B4 or B2 to B3 or B5 to B4. Any path, how do you choose the path? That path selection can be possible or can be done by applying this algorithm which is called as your spanning tree, and it is developed by IEEE 802.1 standard. This committee has been specified this algorithm. Okay, so this is called as the shortest path algorithm to find the efficient path in the shortest path calculation. Okay, first we have seen the transparent bridge, and this is coming under source routing bridge. Then why do we go for this spanning tree? One more thing is that flooding, unless until it is not getting the frames or packet to the specified destination, it will flood the packets or flood the frames. So this thing also we have to avoid to save the resources as well as the time. Then come to the point spanning tree. Okay guys, in this slide, I'll just upload this slide for you. You just go through this for the forwarding table. Answers are also there, but just practice this. Okay. How do you configure from different station connection S1 to S6 or S1 to S2 or anything? Okay, so just take this example, practice it and match your answer which is already there. Then this is also another example for you. For this type of scenario also you may practice the forwarding table. Answers are already there guys, for your sake only. You just practice how you have to make the entries. Once only we have to choose the part. We should avoid the looping also. That is the target. And make the entry only once. Then this is short answers. But in exam, we may ask you write the statement with respect to that station's entry. Then spanning tree algorithm. Guys, this will be a little bit elaborated type. So if it will be better if I will take it in the next class. With the algorithm, if I will take the example, it will be better for you. What do you say? Yeah, I want the answer. Okay, shall we study this in next class?
Okay, ma'am.
Fine. Next class is no instructional day for you. I think so. Friday we have class.